advice, not only to the Pakistanis and Afghans, but to the Muslim communities generally living abroad in non-Muslim majority countries, is at the end of the day, we're Muslims. We are bonded by the word of God, of Allah, that we believe in, and the Quran specifically says that Muslims are but brothers to one another. That should be the basis of our interactions, not Pakistan or not Afghanistan. These are only recent concepts of the Westphalian system that then came to this part of the world. And that is not something that should divide us, rather it should be something just as language, as culture, as ethnicity, as only for identification purposes, to understand who you're speaking with. It should not be a point of division, rather it should be something that should be used to strengthen bonds with one another on the basis of the Islamic injunction of brotherhood.
American melting pot. We do not want to melt into American society and disappear. We want to go into American society with Islamic ideals and revamp their thinking. We want to revamp them. We want to turn them into Muslim individuals. We shouldn't have feelings of a distaste for them or intolerance because they're potential Muslim. Education is one of the most important areas that Muslims have to address. And while our objective, our final objective, is not just to become part of the system that we experience now and that we see, our objective, our final objective, is to create our own Islamic systems, and not only create Islamic systems for Muslims, but to look at all the other people who are sharing this country with us as potential Muslims. And in that long-range process of making America Muslim, all of America Muslim.
Hello everybody, I'm Brigitte Gabriel. I am holding in my hand the Muslim Brotherhood Plan for North America, written in 5/22/1991. This is their plan, titled مذكرة تفسيرية للهدف الاستراتيجي العام في أمريكا الشمالية. This is about their explanation on how they're going to take over the West, their 100-year plan to infiltrate and dominate the West and establish an Islamic government on earth. This plan was presented as evidence in the Holy Land Foundation trial, the largest terrorism trial ever in the history of the United States, where our government handed down 108 guilty verdicts to Muslim Americans and Muslim organizations in America, raising money in the United States and sending it overseas to support terrorist activity overseas. And I'm going to read you a paragraph about their intention in the United States and how they describe their work. Number 4 of the paragraph is titled Understanding the Role of the Muslim Brother in North America. And it says, the process of settlement is a civilization jihadist process with all the word means. The Ikhwan, which is the Arabic word for brothers, must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers, so that it is eliminated and Allah's religion is made victorious over all other religion. As you can see, they don't mince words. They don't beat around the bush.
Thinks they're nice people, and others in the American government think that the Brotherhood is just a nice, moderate group of patriots. What do you say?
Well, Pat, look, I think the Muslim Brotherhood are the ultimate Islamists in sheep's clothing. That's how I describe them in the book. These guys, Pat, they dress like you and I. They wear suits and ties. They're very eloquent. They're well-educated, Western-educated, many of them. And the Obama administration, and mainly the political left in this country and in Europe, they look at the Brotherhood and say, hey, these are guys we can deal with. They're reasonable. They're not violent. We can use these guys, the so-called moderate Islamists, as a counterweight against al-Qaeda. They will work against al-Qaeda. That's the mind frame of our leaders, Pat. But here's the problem, and I lay it out in the book. Al-Qaeda stemmed from the Muslim Brotherhood. Without the Muslim Brotherhood, Pat, there would be no al-Qaeda. As a matter of fact, there would have been no 9/11. Without this organization, the Muslim Brotherhood, Pat, their ideology has driven the entire global jihad. Every al-Qaeda leader belonged to the Brotherhood before they belonged to al-Qaeda.
Give us the key points of the Brotherhood philosophy. What do they believe?
Pat, in its essence, their founding motto, people need to remember. Jihad is our way. Dying in the way of Allah is our highest hope. Martyrdom.
When people say, oh my goodness, this Muslim American Society mosque in Philadelphia, we've uncovered videos where the children are singing about chopping the heads off of infidels. And I'm like, I got interviewed by like all of a sudden these national news reporters. Can you believe it? What do you expect them to teach at a mosque? They're teaching Islam. That's part of Islam.
Can we get that video?
سندود بالأرشاد عن أرض الهدى ونقدم الأرواح دون تواني وسنضرب الأعناق عن أجسادهم ونحرر الأقصى الحزين العاري ونقود جيش الله منجز وعده ونسوق.
And did that mosque get shut down? No. Was there an FBI investigation? No. Did the Philadelphia police open an investigation? No.
That we have in this country to protect every single citizen. We are going to fight. This is an act of civil disobedience that we are going to keep up and make sure that your voices continue and are heard all throughout Virginia, all throughout the country.
Present what we as Muslims want to implement here in the United States. We believe the Constitution should be replaced by the Quran.
First move that I will do, I will abolish the Constitution and I will establish the only logical and rational Constitution, which is the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah.
With the stroke of this pen, we and our Muslim community will have the ability to hear the call to prayer in Adhan 5 times a day.
Secularism is a radical lunatic ideology. We're talking about the loss of holy power in politics. It's very difficult to find any place in the world now that is ruled by someone who is ruling by divine authority. You look at postmodernity, there is one religion that is absolutely equipped from the ground up to engage the speed of a technocratic world. It is the dynamic, pluralistic, empowering Islam of the Prophet's era.
Kamal Helbawi is the only spokesperson for the Muslim Brotherhood who agreed to be interviewed for this documentary.
Anything mentioned in the Quran, they believe in it 100%. And they want to implement it. Not only to believe, but they would like to implement it.
Our job is to change the Constitution of America.
These are the words of other leaders of American Muslim organizations that have roots in the Muslim Brotherhood.
I find that there are only 2 things which are open to our movements: ballot or bullet, nothing in between.
Here, Qaradawi tells an audience in Ohio about the group's goals to conquer the world, including the United States.
الفتح بالدعوة هذا ما نأمله إن شاء الله. سنفتح أوروبا وسنفتح أمريكا لا بالسيف ولكن بالدعوة.
Today we have 43 state delegates in the United States who are Muslim. If they want to run for Congress, we may end up with about 50 members of Congress in the next 6 years. That's really the essence of dismantling the system of injustice, is to replace it with the people who represent the Prophet ﷺ.
Nature of the war is primarily subversive. So the communist movement, the Islamic movement, their understanding of warfare is total war. Jihad is not just swords, guns, bombs. That's the smaller part of it, just like the communists. The bigger part of the total war is espionage, counterintelligence, propaganda, economic warfare, psychological operations, subverting the key institutions, education, religious institutions, the media, the government, the political institutions, the security institutions.
Cultural.
Yeah. And for them, one of the big cultural penetrations is of the religious institutions. That's all part of their warfare. And for both movements, if it advances their movement, it's game. Nothing's out of bounds.
Mamdani is he comes from a Marxist family. He's a member of Democratic Socialists of America. Well, we need to understand that is a communist party. They're not Democrat. They have communist members. They have good relations with communist Cuba, communist parties all over America, cross membership with the Communist Party USA. They have 10,000 members in New York. He had 20,000 volunteers on the ground. So most of them were DSA, but then they had CARE, Students for Justice in Palestine, Palestinian youth movement, all the mosques. Plus they had another 30,000 people from out of state, phone banking, donating, coming to New York. So this is how they got AOC into Congress. That DSA nationalizes these elections. So the Democrats will have 200 volunteers, DSA will have 5,000. The addition money, plus in this case, the Muslim money as well. So this isn't some big swing to the left in New York. This is a very deliberate, a tactical alliance between a radical communist organization plus a coalition of radical Islamic organizations, many of which are communists. There's a lot of communists in CARE,
In vain, that this is all jihad, that this is all ibadah, and that this is all counted for by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين الله أكبر الله أكبر.
Now, this is a huge opportunity for American Muslims. It's your chance to meet face-to-face with your elected officials, to share your concerns, your hopes, and the policies that you care about. Members of Congress need to hear directly from Muslim constituents.
Muslim Brotherhood and many other Islamic theorists and scholars and politicians have said that we will conquer the West through three means. And I hope that your listeners and viewers take note. Number one, we will conquer the West through the womb of our women, right? So that's a demographic fertility battle. We will produce 5 children, you will produce 1.2 children, and we will outbreed you. Number two, we will conquer the West through hijrah. Hijrah is the Arabic word for immigration, and that's exactly what we do with our open border policies. And number three, we will conquer the West by using your miserable freedoms and liberties against you. They're screaming this out from the top of the mountain, and yet most Westerners choose to ignore.
We should make dua for him and pray for him. I understand that our Somali communities are all connected to each other here in Minnesota and back home, and I ask for your support. There's always been a link between our community here as well as back home, and I'm running to bridge that gap and unite all of us and represent all of us, because when we succeed here, we succeed everywhere. And I'm hoping to do that just like Abdrazak.
Who are the other key figures currently in positions of power and authority who you have solid evidence are working to overthrow the U.S. government?
So the leaders of all those organizations, the key of which the U.S. Council of Muslim Organizations, which was created in 2014 is when they stood up. And then once that was stood up, again, you're talking about markers, milestones along the way. Then in 2017, the Muslim Brotherhood, in the form of the International Institute for Islamic Thought, which is the strategy center for the Muslim Brotherhood in North America, they made a formal agreement with the DNet, which was a formal network built here in the United States. The term DNet is actually, that's like using the term Department of State. The DNet is the part of the Turkish government that is an official, constitutionally mandated, cabinet level part of the Turkish government, whose primary purpose is to ensure Sharia compliance in the Turkish government.
Patterson will now allow mosques to broadcast their Muslim call to prayer. City council members approved the noise ordinance by a vote of 5-4. It will allow the Muslim call to prayer be broadcast over exterior
we are buying these churches. We bought 3 churches so far, converted them to masjids, and now we have 1 we are buying with a school to make it, because we have to serve the same people. The people who were part of that community, one day they will be Muslims. So we'll make it into a masjid and an Islamic school for our children and their children, inshallah. 100 years ago, they invaded the Muslim world and they built missionary schools and destroyed Islamic schools and masjids. Today, we bring the favor back, turn their churches into masjids and their schools into Islamic schools. Bring the light of Islam to here.
Assalamu alaikum. The Texas Muslim community needs your help. We have an opportunity today to buy one of the biggest churches in Texas and turn it into an Islamic center. This mega church can become one of the largest Islamic centers in Texas. It is a beautiful facility that can be used for a dawah center, a youth center, a classroom for school, a prayer hall, and so much more. It sits on 4 acres of land and is a staggering 56,000 square feet of built area. It already includes 3 buildings that are move-in ready, and
700 years of our trial to conquer Europe by force failed. They did something wrong, very wrong. They tried for many years to conquer Europe through wars, only wars.
This is the soft Islamic conquest of the West. Basically, what the Islamic and again, I'm an Orthodox Muslim. What we couldn't do in the last, say, 20 years, now the West is doing it for us for free and even paying for it.
Allah permitted them to live off the infidel while they are subduing them. So it had sort of a parasitic type of attitude where they can live off of the host country, where their goal is to eventually eradicate the host culture and supplant.
Wars are won by identifying and vanquishing enemies. And so far, that hasn't been done in the last 5 administrations.
So what do you see now in the Trump administration?
They are not recognizing, one, this is a real war with identifiable enemies who have doctrine, strategy, lines of operation, and massive networks. Those networks need to be dismantled. Now, hard to dismantle them without a functional DOJ, but when you actually recognize you're in a real war with hostile foreign powers using U.S.-based proxies to wage those wars, like the entire prominent Islamic network and there are thousands of chapters here. I mean, the Muslim Student Association alone has over 1,000 chapters on U.S. colleges and universities. And then all of the offshoots from that, Students for Justice in Palestine, Hamas, Engage Palestine, all these other groups that come with many names. Once you recognize you're at war and you legally acknowledge that, the Constitution unleashes all kinds of powers that we can wage.
Definitely a much better place to be a woman. So they were given the right to vote. They were unrestricted. They were empowered. I'm sure you've seen pictures of them at university campuses in miniskirts, hair showing at the beach. Do you know what I mean? Like it looked like a picture of the West.
And then what happens?
And then the revolution happened and it was kind of game over for that kind of freedom. So yeah, it was the classic example of the Red-Green Alliance, essentially, where they tried to topple the Shah, and they managed to topple the Shah. But as a result, the Islamists came into power, which is not what the left were expecting.
What did they think would happen then? I thought they were like propping up the Islamists, like, go on, we will obey you.
They were propping up the Islamists for sure, but thinking we can prop them up and then use them. But it turned out that no, they were the ones being the useful idiots for the Islamists. So it was kind of like a case of they were feeding the crocodile, hoping it would eat them last. But they got devoured in the process because within 2 years, there were thousands and thousands of executions that took place. Wow. And I guess it should be like a stark warning. History is doomed to repeat itself. The quicker we learn that, the quicker we can understand how this is going to end. think it's one of the biggest paradoxes of our time. Western feminists are seen to be defending the very same regime that is murdering women for dancing, executing gay people. It goes very deep, like even within our Western institutions. They say things like, this is what white girls are for. Their turn to take over, and it's the Muslim turn to take over. Some of them outright say, we are here to enforce sharia.